my mana crypt isn't in there. Interesting. Any game that you can give personal touch to kind of makes the game feel more personal and makes you more invested in it. And Magic the Gathering is no exception. But Magic the Gathering is especially customizable. So here are some of the things that I use to make my games feel like mine, and also how I keep things organized. So we're going to break this video basically into two parts. One is storage, which is just keeping things nice and organized at home. And the second part is going to be things that we use during gameplay. And that includes things like sleeves, decks, or other things that we use during gameplay to make things feel a little bit more personal or smoother. Let's dive into the gameplay section first, because that's where the fun stuff is. So looking at gameplay, there's some overt things that we can directly use. Playmats, deck boxes, sleeves, and life trackers. Those are the big four. Now there's a bunch of counters, tokens, there's all sorts of like status things that you can use. I'm going to leave that up to personal discretion just because I don't really use a whole lot of stuff, and I use the standard Magic the Gathering Wizards of the Coast tokens. I probably shouldn't. I do really want to get infinite tokens, but that's a story for a different time. Deck boxes, I use the Ultimate Guard boulders. These have just been so fantastic. They do get a little bit more pricey. There are a ton of different deck boxes. If you want to make things more personal to your commander specifically, Etsy has a lot of options. But I find like the Ultimate Guard just kind of fit in everything and also fit very well into the storage stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. As for the decks themselves, I use the Dragon Shield matte sleeves. I vary the color based off of the theme. So this one is my Infect deck, which is currently undergoing some renovation, but it kind of gives this nice like poison-like hue. However, I have grown to love the dual sleeves, which those look fantastic, and I want to get more of them. One other quick note about the Ultimate Guard boulders is they did just come out with a whole bunch of, I don't know what they're called, I think it's like the Strixhaven stuff, but look at this. Like, just the deck box itself looks gorgeous. But that's what I use to protect the decks themselves. Now, life trackers, it varies. In my Keurig deck, that is a life gain deck, which means I need to have a life tracker that goes up. Now, I tend to either use dice or a digital tracker just because that helps substantially with the sheer amount of life you can gain. However, if I'm playing Turgid or Yawgmoth, essentially that is a race to the bottom. So I also like to use the little spin down standard one that you get like in the little packs, just because I don't really gain a whole lot of life. One thing that I have grown to love, and I've been doing this like for the past couple months, is I've been bringing my iPad to Friday Night Magic. I can't show you that because I'm recording on it right now. However, it has been incredibly nice because it's large enough that you can just set it down on the table on the corner of each person's playmat, and everyone can just kind of reach over. That way no one has to sacrifice their phone. That way everyone can still check their text messages, or if something happens, like they don't have to worry about like their phone battery dying. It just takes a lot of the pressure off. Last but not least are the playmats. Now, I have two different playmats. One I got as a gift, which I use for play testing because it helps kind of keep things organized and it's nice and sectioned off. However, this is the Ultra Pro one. It just feels like a neoprene sheet, honestly. I got this one when I was playing predominantly mono green. I've been meaning to get a mono black one, but again, like the other one is a little bit more edgy. So I've been kind of using that whenever I play Yawgmoth as well. Also, Yawgmoth is very combo heavy. It does help kind of keep things organized. I believe that covers everything for gameplay. If you can keep a few things extra on hand, it's really nice to help other people out because some people might be newer to the game and they don't expect all that stuff. Extra playmats is extremely nice, especially if you're not playing at a place where they put like the sheets down. But anywho, let's go ahead and move on to some of the storage solutions just to make sure everything looks nice and neat. Storage solutions. For Friday Night Magic, I use the Stanley one. There's a whole bunch of different variations. I think this one was like $12, which I highly recommend if you are on a budget. So this thing can hold 8 decks and 2 boulder boxes, or 7 decks plus tokens, dice, and then also 4 boulders. That is incredibly nice and gives you more than enough variety for Friday Night Magic. I tend to cycle through the different decks and I take them out of the boulders and I throw them in here just to keep things nice and simple, consistent. But yeah, no, this is incredibly great. And if you're getting into the game, it makes you look a little bit more serious. Have plenty of room to grow. You can collect everything to make your life a little bit easier. And I haven't tried putting the playmat in here, but I'm sure you can fit it along here, no problem. Okay. That's getting to Friday Night Magic. Pretty much, I think I have everything of the same brand except for 2 things. I have started doing this because I have way too many deck concepts that I've been trying to build. Essentially what's been happening is whenever I have something like a tribal, so I have rat tribal, ninja tribal, fairy tribal, etc. And whenever I come across a rat, fairy, or ninja that I want to put in the deck, I throw it in these little boxes. And whenever the deck gets big enough where it can graduate to a boulder, then I get the boulder. Otherwise they start to get a little bit pricey after a bit, and I don't want to have a whole bunch of boulders filled with half-finished deck concepts. So that's been a nice little hack that I've been using. It's been really, really helpful. So, anywho, individual card storage. If you've been playing Magic for any sort of period of time, if you go to your local card shop, you can find like these little like cardboard boxes. That way you can just fill those up with excess cards, write on them, label them. That way you have at least some sense of organization. But if you've been playing Magic for any sort of time, you do end up with piles like that, just randomly around. It can't be helped. Where do the valuable cards go? Because they don't go in that pile. They go in a binder. This is the Z-Folio LX one. I think this one was like 20 bucks. You can use the general laminated card separators. I used to do that all the time. However, those do break over time and they don't provide the best protection. This one just kind of helps keep things nice and organized. I also have a haul of commanders. Again, I have a lot of deck concepts that I want to build, but these are all just things that I have collected over time. These are like $5 to $1, just things I kind of want to keep an eye on. So this is where anything that's like really expensive, and this gets double sleeved and protected in a binder. We have some things like Sliver Queen, Mana Crypt, that kind of stuff. My Mana Crypt isn't in there, interesting. Oh, it's in my CDH deck. Anyway, so that covers the individual card storage. Now, decks. So this is the Ultimate Guard Archive, and the Xeno skin just feels fantastic, but this thing holds 4 boulders. One is currently my John Arenicus deck is currently replaced, so that's what this mess is up here. So here's the Ultimate Guard Twin Flippin' Tray. This has some sleeves, my Dan deck, and some extra dice. This I exclusively use for pre-release nights. I'll talk about that in a later video, so make sure to subscribe. And last but not least, we have the Ultimate Guard Omni Hive. Now this one is a 2022 exclusive. I don't know if they still make it. I'm assuming they do. So this one holds 9 boulders plus the little trays on the side. Whenever decks move from concepts to being built or are being renovated or reconstructed. There's a lot of things in here where I'm trying to fix like the mana base or the concepts so that way they become viable. Also, all of these will have their own video at some point in the future. So again, make sure to subscribe. You can get into like different backpacks. Tailoring Community College has another video where it's like everyday stuff that you can use. I do recommend checking out Etsy. Etsy has a ton of stuff that you can use to personalize. And a lot of it is just kind of finding your own personal flavor or optimizing for specific decks. So for instance, Chatterfang is going to have a lot more squirrel, fun-loving things. And then Yawgmoth is going to be a little bit more edgy. However, if you find some things that you use for your home games, do let me know down in the comments because I love hearing like some of the weird things that you all come up with. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll learn something new in the next video.